What's up, everybody? Fortexfiend here. Welcome back again to the channel with some more content on SD Gundam G Generation Eternal, where I'm going to be going over specific Gundam 00 units and pilots that you guys should definitely consider building and putting your resources into to help you guys prepare for the upcoming content happening on April 1st for the 1-year anniversary, specifically the Eternal Road stages that they will be adding, because as we know with Eternal Road, not only are they more difficult and they're considered endgame content, but with these specific stages, they cater it to like specific series pilots, specific series units, and because we know that Gundam Wing and 00 are going to be the main focus on April 1st, this is why I'm making this video. For those of you that enjoyed the Gundam Wing one, this one hopefully should help you out too when it comes to building out the Gundam 00 pilots and units. Before I get started, you guys know the drill. If you enjoy what you see on this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so that way you guys are not missing out on future uploads. Leave a like or dislike and comment down below which of the pilots and units that I mentioned in this video have you guys already built, and which ones have you guys noticed that really, stand out compared to the rest of the roster within Gundam 00. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move on and use this wonderful website, which is created by my Discord member's friend, Young Shuro. Kudos to you guys again for creating this awesome website. I actually really like it, and between you and me, I think it's better than the Sociage one. Sorry, Sociage, but they update it way faster, and I just like how they organize things. And what I've done is I've filtered out Gundam 00 pilots and units, and I've also taken out the Gacha ones because I want to keep these videos free-to-play friendly. And as we've seen, a lot of the free-to-play options that are not within the Gacha are actually worth it, especially when you go upgrades. Considering using like SP conversion, SSP, they get really, really strong. So that is the intent of this video. Now, for Gundam 00 compared to Wing, Wing definitely got a lot more love from the start because there were a lot more options to talk about in terms of which ones were worth it. But for Gundam 00, there are a decent handful, just not nearly as many as Wing. And we're going to start off with one of my most recommended pilots that you guys should consider building that stand out, and that's going to be my boy Lock-On Stratos. He is a support type pilot, and now this is within the context of you actually wanting to SP convert him, because look at the stat for his range. It shoots up to 814, which is huge, and while the rest of his stats are just all right, this stands out to me, especially because if you decide to put him, let's say, in a range specialized attack type suit, he can actually deal a pretty significant amount of like support damage with an attack type unit. So remember, you don't necessarily need to put him, in a support type unit unless you want to. He could function really well in an attacker type unit. He has great abilities: increase range, celestial being, support attack counter support, increase range again. And then his skills are also really good for a support type pilot. You got boost range level 1, increasing the range of his next skill during that turn, which is always nice for a support type unit to have. And then he has that support attack count increase +1. So this is the one where it costs 10 energy, but when you use it, it gives him a second support skill, and it doesn't go away until he actually uses it. But anyways, this is the reason why I think this pilot is a really good choice, and you definitely should consider building him and putting some resources into him to help you guys prepare ahead of time for the upcoming 00 content within the game. So he's going to be my first free-to-play pilot that I recommend. The second one is actually going to be Hallelujah Haptism. So essentially, this is Hallelujah, but like super mode. Take a look at the SP conversion because we are taking that into consideration. His range stat, again, sticks out. Not as good as Lock-Ons, but it's still pretty solid. And then he also has a decent reaction and an okay awaken. Very, very good abilities: increased damage, Super Soldier increasing his awaken damage and his reaction, celestial being, and another increased range. And then both of his skills for a attacker type pilot is actually really strong. You got high speed, giving him additional movement for a turn, so that way he could get where he needs to be, or position better, so that way he's staying out of harm's way. And then afterwards, he has MP up, and I love this skill on offensive type pilots or units, even like supporter pilots, because what it effectively does is at turn 1, you've already essentially maximize the amount of damage, or potentially maximize the amount of damage that particular unit and pilot combination can do. So this is excellent for an attacker type pilot, which is why he's also going to be one of the recommendations I'm going to make for 00 free-to-play pilots to invest your resources into. And then finally, the last pilot that I'm going to be recommending is a defender, and it's going to be Setsuna FCA. Again, with the context that you are SP converting him, he has solid defense and reaction. He has support defense, increased defense, and increased melee. He has high speed, which again, that's great, helps for positioning. And then he also has support defense count +1, so he gets a second support defense, and it stays there until he actually uses it, which is why I think that's really good. So that way you kind of have like a pseudo double defender at your disposal. So those are going to be the pilots that I personally recommend for you guys to build. Again, though, if you want to build any of these other pilots, or if you just want to invest in them, like at least get them to level 80 and not have to convert them, the more the merrier, because when it comes to these series specific stages, you're going to want to try to take as many as possible, especially if you are going the free-to-play route where you don't necessarily pull on every single banner. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and move forward to take a look at the particular units or mobile suits that I personally recommend you guys to build to prepare you guys ahead of time for the stages to come. Again, I'm taking out any kind of gacha because that's not the focus of the video. We want to try to keep this as free-to-play as possible. And the first one that I'm going to be mentioning is actually an SR, and it's going to be Gundam Kyrios. This is with the context that you either SP or SSP convert it, and we're going to take a look at what this particular free-to-play unit offers. So first of all, the attack is actually pretty solid for an SR. The abilities or passives are pretty solid as well. Energy recovery, it has an energy regen, which is nice to have. I think maybe it could have gotten something a little bit better, but it does have increased attack, and it does have a form of mitigation with GN field. And as you can see right over here, in terms of its actual attack skills, it has Trans Am, which is at a range of 4. Has to be tension max or greater. So if you pair this up with the Hallelujah pilot, great pairing because you could MP boost and then get access to this right away. And then afterwards, it also has a 3-range, submachine gun where you get a higher weapon power increase the higher your HP remaining. It can also transform, so that way you have a little bit more mobility or movement, and then it also does have mitigation with shield defense. So this is a pretty solid unit for an SR that I would recommend. And if you decide to SSP convert it, its attack shoots up even further. It gets a higher attack increase, and as you can see right over here, it gets another attack, which is the Beam Machine Gun SSP. This one has a power of 5760 and also a 25% increase to its critical damage, which is always nice to have. So this is going to be one of the units that I personally recommend that you could put some resources into that's also free to play for the 00 lineup. The next is going to be the GN Arms Type D. This is a supported type unit. Again, this is within the context that you are trying to invest in this thing. It is a large machine. It also does have one-shot killer, which is a nice tag to have. Its passives are all right, max energy and also another energy regen. And then afterwards, if you take a look at the type of debuffing skills that it has a 4-range skill that has damage taken from physical weapons up. And then it also has a 5-range skill, which has damage from beam weapons up 25%. It is a larger machine, like we just said, so a bit of a bigger target, but it does make up for it with, the good amount of range that it has on these debuffs. Now, if you do decide to SSP it, because that's where it gets its other upgrades, as you can see right here, its physical weapons up debuff has now a range of 5. And then afterwards, it gets a range 6 SSP skill that also has the beam weapons up 25%. So this is within the context that you are upgrading it. However, for this particular supporter unit, it doesn't necessarily need it, but if you want it to have a little bit more oomph, this is something to consider and also recommended for one of the free-to-play units for 00. Now, the last one that I'm going to recommend is going to be GN Arms Type E. Again, there's not a lot of selection right now for free-to-play units for Gundam 00, but there definitely will be more. But these are the ones that stand out for those of you that are looking for, for units to build that are free-to-play. Again, good abilities, always nice to have mitigation and increased defense. It looks like they all have that energy regen, which is nice to have. Has accuracy down, which is, that's okay, but I do like this 4-range attack down 30%, which is always nice to have. And it does have Trans Am as kind of like its most powerful skill. No additional effect, but for the most part, you're going to be using the attack down. This is also a large machine, and it does have the lightning fast tag. If you do decide to SSP it, even though for the most part, I would say defender units, stats are a somewhat of a priority, but you usually want to prioritize that with attacker type units. But as you can see right over here, it gets the large GN Sword SSP. This has an attack down 25%, which is always nice to have. And then its GN Beam Gun gets a little bit of a power boost with the SSP. But all in all, even without any kind of SP or SSP conversion, I would say this free-to-play unit is definitely one to consider to prepare yourselves ahead of time for the upcoming content or 00 in terms of like Eternal Road and things like that. But that's going to go ahead and conclude my video for units and pilots within the 00 series that you should definitely consider putting your resources into. Again, remember, just because these are the ones that are recommended doesn't mean that you should be ignoring the rest. I've seen people find a lot of value with some of the other ones. And again, the more that you have at your disposal, the better, because when it comes to these series specific battles for Eternal Road, it's nice to have a full roster available, so that way you have options during that particular stage. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know which of these units have you already built, or maybe there might have been one that I might have missed out on. You guys can let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and stay blessed, everybody.